Hi, and thanks for joining me. I'm Coleen Watchorn, and today we're going to be doing a kids painting in acrylic. We're going to be doing a dragonfly. What we're going to be using is we're going to have a really limited palette: white, black, blue, and yellow. Make sure you have your water, your paper towel, and if you bought one of my kits or got a kit from the Labrokery camp, you're going to have 2 brushes, and that's all you're going to need, and your canvas. So let's get started. What we're going to do is we're going to start with our sun. Now the sun is in this painting pretty centered, but you wouldn't have to. You could put it where you want, put it over here, here, whatever you like. I'm going to put it in the center. Now if you're worried about making a perfect circle, you can trace something ahead of time, so you can use a plate or ask mom or dad to help. But I'm just going to wing it because I don't think perfect is always the best thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start with my plain yellow. You notice I dipped it in the water first. I've got a lot of paint on there, and I'm going to start with my circles. So I'm going to start right about here. Don't worry about perfect. We'll fix it up after. Now I do want a nice bright yellow sun in the middle here, so I'm not going to add too much of anything. I'm just going to use straight yellow, fill it in. You don't want it to be too thick and clumpy, so make sure you spread it out really nice, okay? If otherwise it takes too long to dry. Now our next step, once we have our circle, is we're gonna dip right into the white. Now don't dip into the middle, because then you're gonna mess up all your white, but I like to dip right into the side like that, so you still have all that nice paint to work with. And I've got lots of white on my brush, and I'm gonna go around. I'm gonna actually overlap a little bit of my yellow. See that? So you're going to get a nice glow kind of look. I love this. We're going to go around about 2 fingers wide. Okay, so you're going to pull that nice light yellow around about 2 fingers. Again, it's not about being perfect. All right, and then just blend that in. So you see how nice and bright the middle stays, but then we get that nice cool glow. No line. See, I worked nice and fast, so there's no line between the 2 colors. Make sure you overlap that white into the yellow, okay? And just spin it around a couple times, and there you go. See, that's why it didn't matter how perfect that circle was. It probably isn't very perfect. All right, now comes the fun part. We're gonna start adding some colors. So in this painting, you can see I only have blue, but I'm actually gonna make a few different shades of blue in the background. So I'm gonna start with the white that's on my brush, and I'm just gonna dip right into the plain blue right now like this. Okay, so I didn't wash my brush. And then I'm gonna just take a little bit of that yellow. Okay, so it's gonna make a really pretty, look at that, it's kind of a green teal color. Perfect. Now I didn't take very much, so I'm gonna make a little bit more because I don't wanna run out. There we go. So all those happy colors, look at that, blue, yellow, and you end up with this really pretty green color. And that color, now remember how we overlapped the yellow and the white? We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna overlap just a little bit of that green and that white, see? This is kind of a fun spring painting. That's what I'm thinking. I'm all done with winter now. Give me spring. Now I'll show you a really neat little trick. So once we get all that paint out of our brush, so I've made it all the way around. Now we've got a really hard line here. The trick is take that brush, it doesn't have any more paint in it, right? It's all out. You can even wipe it off a little bit. Dip back in the white. See that? Now we're gonna go around. I'm just gonna blend with the white paint. Look at that. See how that makes it nice and soft? And you can go around and around a few times if you want, just to really soften it up. Okay, and that'll really get rid of any of those hard lines. You can wipe your brush off a little bit, soften up those lines. Now I kind of like it a little bit streaky, so I'm okay with these streaks. If you want to blend, 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 you can do that too. But I think that looks kind of cool with a few little streaks in there. So there you go. We've got that first kind of blue-green color in there. You notice I am trying to somewhat keep it a circle still. You don't want to start going in a funny shape. Try to keep it circular if you can. All right, next what we're going to do, I'm going to take that blue and I'm just going to put it right in that pile. So So I'm just gonna add some more blue. So it's gonna change the color a little bit like that. See that, how it just changes it? I'm not adding any more yellow, just some blue. And that's my next color, so watch this. Look how different that is. It's amazing how many different colors and shades you can get out of just 1 or 2 different colors here on your plate. So we're gonna go all the way around. This is one of my favorite colors. I love this color. Now I run out, so I'm gonna have to make a bit more. It's important to make enough. I did not make enough. There we go. Now here's a little trick if you do run out and you have to make some more. Don't worry too much about how perfectly close the colors are. The more color choices and variations in here, the better. It's just gonna make it look better. So don't worry too much. Don't overthink the colors too much. All I'm really worrying about, if you'll notice, is I really wanna make sure the canvas is covered up. You don't wanna have gaps between the colors, all right? You wanna have it all covered up. And as we get darker with our paint, it'll get harder for the canvas to get covered up. So work really hard at that. Make sure there's enough paint in your brush. And if you have to, dip in the water like this and see how that'll make it spread out a little nicer. So don't be afraid to use a little bit of water. All right, so this is looking good. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take more of that blue, plunk it right on there. There shouldn't be a whole lot left of that yellow in there, so the color probably isn't gonna change too much, and that's okay, we don't need it to. This is our next color, and it's pretty much just straight blue, tiny, tiny tint. Look at how easy it is to get that glow. That's so cool. All right, we're gonna go around real quick. Now, like I say in all my videos, you guys never have to paint as fast as me. I'm just going super fast, so the video isn't 3 hours long, but you guys can pause this and slow down as much as you need to, okay? Enjoy blending, enjoy mixing your colors, have some fun with it. All right, very last color. Now, this is one of my second favorite colors. I'm gonna take that blue and very, very little, now watch closely, tiny little bit. See, I'm not taking a pile, a little bit of black in there, and it's gonna make a beautiful dark blue, and that's gonna be my final color to finish off. Look at how pretty that is. And this is gonna be the last color, and so because it's the last color, I'm gonna make sure I wrap it around all my edges too, because you want all your edges to be cleaned, painted. Looks really pretty if it's on the wall. I'm gonna make a lot of it. You won't need blue after this, so if you end up using up all your blue for this part, that is okay. I'm just gonna flip this around like that. Aren't these colors so spring? Isn't this pretty? Oh, I am looking forward to spring. Can you tell? Now you can see how off my circle is. Oh boy. That's okay, that's real life. Perfect isn't always best. There, I can kind of fix up my circle a little bit here. Keep spinning it around. Now I'm not worrying about doing my edges because I'm just demonstrating, so you guys make sure you take the time now and you do all your edges too, okay? Make sure it looks really good. Now when you're all done with your colors, take one more look. Now if you feel like yours isn't as blended as mine is, you can always go back and take a little bit of white and you can go in and soften up some of the colors. When you go from blue to dark blue, if there's a big line, you can take a little bit of white or a little bit of blue and just soften up those edges, okay? You don't want it to look like a bullseye where you could see every color separately. You want it to all be blended, okay? So take some time to blend that. Remember, water will work, a little bit of water will work. Look at that. And I'll just show you, mine doesn't need it, but I'll just show you. So what I would do is not wash my brush, take just a little bit of white, and I can go like this, and I would just slowly start to blend if I had any hard lines. Kind of a nice look too. You can do it just for fun. Adds to the glow. Look at that. Kind of looks like streaks in the sky. Might as well keep going, it looks really good. Just remember to make sure that it stays in that circle, okay? Don't have straight lines coming around. They've got to go around that circle, okay? As soon as you have a line that isn't following that circle, it's not going to look right. I like that. What do you think? I think we're happy with that. Nice bright sun. Here we go. Now we're going to start with the grasses and the bulrushes at the bottom. For that, we're going to switch to our black paint right here, and we're not going to mix it, just plain. Now you do want to have a little bit of water in your brush, so whether you decided to go with your small one or your big one, make sure that you wet it a little bit first. Tap off a little bit of that water. A little bit of water in your paint is going to help get a smooth line, okay? So you don't want to use it too dry, or you're going to have a really hard time getting nice smooth grasses. So look at that, it's just nice, and it's not runny, it's not dripping down the plate, but it's got a little water in there, okay? Now I like these grasses right here to be a little shorter, and then these ones here I'm gonna have them come up a little bit. I think it just looks neat. So I'm gonna start, now my brush is turned sideways. If you're using this brush, you won't have to do that, but I have my brush the skinny way, and I'm gonna put it down, and I'm gonna flick. I'm gonna start making grasses. Now there's a couple of tricks to grass. One is you always start at the bottom. So you're gonna start at the ground and flick up, okay? Another trick is they don't always grow the same direction. Sometimes we start going like this and they all become very perfect. That's not real life. Let's make it a little looser. Now you're also gonna notice that I'm doing some taller as we get to the edges here. Start curving them in. Look at that. Look how easy that is. Now for you guys at home, a couple of other little tricks. If you stand above, so if you go like this and you put it on the table and you stand up and you go like this, it could be easier for you. For some people, if they're on an easel, turning it upside down is easier. You do what works for you. Just remember, the less you lift your brush, the better. So I'm not going like this and lifting the brush. See how you get a very different look if you do that? You don't want to be lifting, you want to put your brush down and flick. Okay, so now I'm going to start going this direction. Sometimes when we are doing grass, we kind of panic when one of them gets super thick like that. Again, that's real life. In real life, in silhouette, you're going to have all kinds of shapes and sizes. So don't overthink every little blade of grass. I can't speak today. I haven't taught for a while. All right. So you're gonna end up with some thin, some thick, and that's good. That's all right. Some of these we're gonna turn into bulrushes. So if you end up with some really long, thick ones, well, we're just gonna use that for a bulrush. There's no wrong. So I'm just gonna keep on flicking. So you notice every time I start at the bottom and flick up. Now you'll notice I did that real quick, but you're gonna notice that I just tapped on my water and I added a bit more. If you couldn't tell, it was starting to get a little bit thick and it wasn't moving very good. So I just did a real quick little dab in there to thin my paint down again. And I'm gonna come up, put a few in the corners here. There. Almost done. Now you can bring some of these up pretty high if you want. This is your painting, so you can pull some up really high like that. Maybe I'll pull one of these up a little higher. There we go. And then we can put some cool bulrushes around there. So that looks pretty cool already. I like that. Now before I do anything else, I'm gonna throw one more little thing into the background that I kind of forgot. You don't have to do this, but if you want to, you're going to take a little bit of white on your small brush. We're just going to create little stars, glows, bubbles. I don't know what you call them. Let's see. And you're just going to take a little bit of white paint and you're just going to make little, sorry, it's going to be hard to see, little spinny things like that. So it just looks like there's maybe little fireflies out in the sky. And I'm just spinning my brush around like that, just making almost like little circles. I think they look like fireflies kind of way out in the distance. So I'm going to throw a few in. Look at that. You could put as many or as few as you want. You don't have to have as many as I'm doing. You do some smaller ones way back here. Look at that. I think that's enough. It kind of adds a little fun and whimsy and gives the idea that there's bugs flying around out there. That would be spring. Now next what we're going to do is we're going to add the tops to our bulrushes. Again, if you feel like you have a little more control using the small brush, go ahead. I'll maybe show you with both, but I'm going to take plain black. Now you know what bulrushes are. Hopefully you know what they are. They're like cattails or what else would they be called? Cattails, sure. So what happens when you do a bulrush, the important part is you have the line, that's your grass, and on a bulrush, it starts below. So there's that little point, and then you've got that. So this is the actual bulrush or cattail. So you want to have that little tip at the top, okay? So that's the important thing, just in case you can't see it in the video. So really simply, I'm going to go underneath the tip, put my brush down, and pull. That's it. That's as hard as it is. How easy is that? Now you can pick your favorite few, put your brush down, pull, put your brush down, pull. If some get a little bigger than others, that's okay. But this is a really easy, fun way to add a little touch of spring. Maybe this one's further away, so it's smaller. Different sizes just create different depths in your painting. It's gonna make it fun. There, let's see, a little bit bigger here. Now I was gonna show you the big brush, but you know what? This is working so good, I'm just gonna do it with the small brush. There we go. I think that is enough. That's pretty cute, I like that. All right, so we have the background done, and now it is time for our dragonfly. Now, you could do a dragonfly, a butterfly, a bird. It doesn't have to be, but I'm gonna walk you through the dragonfly just because that is the painting, okay? Make sure it's dry enough that you can kind of paint on it. Now, for you guys at home, again, I do suggest keeping it flat and painting like that. If you're worried about like ruining your painting, you can always very, very lightly do it in pencil first. Just remember that it's hard to erase the pencil on the acrylic paint, so just do it really, really lightly. So if mom and dad want to help you do a little sketch before you paint it, that would be the way to go. Get a little pencil and just draw it in. But I'm just going to freehand it, and if it doesn't turn out, it doesn't turn out. That's okay. Now I'm going to stick with my small brush because this is detail stuff, okay? And we're going to start with the body. And you might have a better way of painting a dragonfly or a butterfly. Go ahead. I hope you do. I'm just going to keep it really, really simple because that's easiest for me. Now you could do one or two dragonflies. So let's say you want to do two dragonflies. Well, maybe you'd start one over here, and then you could have one over here. For this, I'm just going to start with this one here. Now all I'm going to do is start with a line like this. Okay, and depending on how big you want this dragonfly, you're just going to pull until it kind of starts to fade away. So pull, 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 and I'm just getting it as thin as I can by the tip. See that? Don't worry about how messy the body is yet. We're going to thicken it up. But the tail you want to kind of keep nice and thin like that. Now what we're going to do at the top here is we're going to square it off a little bit. So we're going to make a square type body like that. Dragonflies are really fun and they're pretty simple. Okay, and then we're going to just widen that a little bit. Look at that. Really easy. Now this is hard to do on an easel actually. I don't normally paint upright like this, and for details it's even harder. So if it isn't looking perfect, that's why. I'm going to say that's why. All right, now we want to do the head. Now if the head isn't totally touching the body, that's okay. And the head is going to be a little bit more rectangular shape than it is circle, if that makes sense, or more of an oval, let's say. So there we go. Now I'm trying really hard to keep my lines nice and clean. You don't want to have messy edges. It doesn't look quite as nice. There we go. That's as easy as it is. And now if you just want to touch like that. So this is hard. This is the hard part. This is detail stuff. So you'll notice I'm not pressing hard. If you press hard with the brush, your lines are just going to get really thick. So if you go really gentle and you're just tapping, you'll have a little more control, okay? All right, now we're going to do some wings. Now they do have, I believe, 4 wings, right? I think so. I think they kind of overlap. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start up here, and I'm just going to make a nice wing shape like that. I don't even know what kind of shape that is. It's just a wing shape. Now, if you want to make yours more round, please go ahead, make them more round, whatever's easier for you. Now, this is the tricky part, trying to make them about the same. I think I got it pretty close. You want them to be about the same size. Okay. Make sure you're using that watered down black paint. As soon as you could start, if you notice you can see through it like that, just means you don't have quite enough water in your paint and you want to get a little bit wetter. There, see how that covers it up nicer? And again, don't worry about perfect. That's okay if it's not perfect. There we go. So that's the first set of wings. Now the second set of wings overlaps this a little bit, at least if I remember correctly. So we're gonna go like this, start right here, and we're gonna overlap. And this wing might be a little bit smaller than the first wing. Look at that. Now this might not be right, but this is right in my world. So that's what we're gonna go with. That's the joy of art. There and there. Oh, that's pretty. Now, just thicken this up. Now here's where you can get a little bit creative and make it exciting, make it your own. You can add little lines inside the wings if you want, kind of like a butterfly's wings. You can add little lines like this, whatever you like. Okay, you can go like this. You can also keep it really simple and you can just add little dots. You can turn your brush around and go like that, and you can just add maybe some little dots in there. That kind of gives it a fun little look. That's fun. You can add a combination of both. Now I do like at the tail, I like to add some dots. I don't know why. I'm just gonna go like this and add a few little dots like that. I think that's kind of cute. And the other side, again, you could do what you want. Now they do usually match, so that is, if you want, you can try to make them match. Now I don't know if I'll even know how to do that. Like that. That's probably way off, but that's okay. And I'll throw a few more dots in here. Let's see. Dot, 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 and dot. That's probably not right, but that's okay. I'll just go like that. Ooh, that's pretty. Now, I don't know, do they have antennas? I don't think they do. I feel like they don't. If they do, I guess we could put some in, but I think they don't. They have those big googly eyes. Perfect. I love it. Now, again, if you had fun doing one, you could do another one here. It could be a little bit smaller. It could be a little bit bigger. You could make it that they're kissing if you really want. You could add a few more of these little dots if you want. You can even go like this and dip in the white paint, and you could just add a few little twinkling stars out in the distance. It is your painting. It's your world that you're creating. You can keep on going, or you can keep it just like this. I think it's a really fun spring painting, and I'm so glad that you guys could come paint along with me today. Enjoy the process. Thank you for joining me.